All right, guys, today we're diving into a debate between Andrew Wilson and a feminist opponent who insists men are more privileged in society. As usual, Andrew is hitting her with reality, but you'll see how quickly her arguments start unraveling. Let's break it down.
Yes or no, do men have more privilege in society?
I think some men do, yes. But again, I would think that a disabled man probably has less privilege than a able-bodied woman, depending on what his disability is.
If we were to take all women and put them collective as a group and all men collective as a group, would you say that men are more advantaged or have privileges over women, or that women are privileged and have advantages over men?
Yeah, I would say collectively, men probably have more privileges.
Okay, so now we understand exactly what it is that we're arguing. So
Yes.
Let me just start with this. What about the draft?
What about the draft?
So how is it that men are privileged over women when men can be drafted, women cannot?
Well, that would be an example of when women have a privilege over men. I don't think the draft should apply to anyone, though. To be honest,
it does
I think
apply to men,
I know,
right?
and I don't even think we should have a draft.
But
I think
we do have
that
a
is
draft.
Inherently immoral as well.
Yeah, but we do have a draft.
So, picture this. She's asked about men and women in general, and immediately jumps to edge cases like disability. Then the discussion hits the draft, and she pulls out the "it shouldn't apply to anyone" line. Of course, she'll deflect, because there's no way she can answer that honestly without contradicting herself. The ultimate form of non-privilege is being forced into a mission you know you might not survive. And she still wants to argue that men have more privilege? Make that make sense.
We do, descriptively.
I know, and we should.
And how could it be that men, young men especially, can be drafted at the age of 18, 19, 20 years old, be sent to fight wars often on behalf of women who can vote them into those wars, right? How is that a privilege that men have? And what is if you had to pick anything that you could point to for women that is on par with that duty that men have, I want to hear what it is.
I would say probably the societal role of the traditional wife and the inability for certain women, or the promotion of an idea that women should not be allowed to work.
Who promotes that women should not be allowed to work?
You do.
No, I don't.
So you think that women should be allowed to work?
Women have always been able to work.
And you think that outside of the home?
Yeah, of course they've always been able to work outside the home.
That's great.
What does that have to do with anything?
I mean, part of the whole manosphere and the promotion of these social norms and social roles.
That's where you're wrong. You see,
Really?
Actually, you have the more misogynistic view.
No, but I'm against
You have the more
that.
misogynistic view. The truth is that what the manosphere would say is that a lot of them say, no, those women need to fucking work. Otherwise, they're in a position of privilege being at home. So let me ask you this. Are women in a position
What
of privilege?
manosphere podcaster is saying
Oh, you hear them say it all the time. Are women in a position
Really?
of privilege?
Candace Owens
Hang
isn't
on,
saying
stop,
that.
stop.
Myron Gaines isn't saying that.
Stop. Yeah, they do. But here's
Andrew
the
Tate is
thing.
not saying
I'll
that.
demonstrate it for you.
None of them are
Are
saying
women
that.
in a position of privilege when they're stay-at-home moms?
No.
Are they in a position of privilege when they're working?
Unless I think that they're in a position of equality or equity. That's the goal.
But so then that would mean, by that logic, they're oppressed by being stay-at-home moms.
I think that if they are not using their free will to decide whether or not they're a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, they're a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
Are they privileged or not privileged? Is it a privilege to be a stay-at-home mom, or is it not a privilege to be a stay-at-home mom? Or is it a privilege for women to work, or is it not a privilege to work?
I think it depends circumstantially. If a stay-at-home mom is choosing and has her free will to be a stay-at-home mom, and that is an
Yeah.
arrangement that she made with her husband, who would also like to do that, then it can be, yes. But if a woman does not have the right to make that choice, and if you are, proposing a society in which we follow strict gender rules and societal rules in which
Yeah, but
only women can-
gender norms show women always working, always having worked.
Yes.
The idea is gender norms, what they don't show is that it's a good idea for women to take their reproductive years and work outside of the home. That's stupid. That
No,
makes
it's
no
not.
sense. Yes, of course.
How do you establish yourself in a career if you actively have a child at home?
You establish yourself in a career after your childbearing years, like everybody else
So
would.
you have to start work at 40?
Versus having children at 40?
But you don't have. You can do both, though. You can
but
have
here's the
children
thing.
and
This is what's so funny.
Establish a career.
Do you think then that if you moms split their attention between their children and their career, that their children are going to get as much attention as they would if the mom didn't have a career?
But why should a mother not have the ability to have a career
For
if
their
she-
children.
Well, then just don't have children. if you
They
don't
would
want to.
Okay, so here her logic just starts to unravel. Either you delay your career until, like, 40, or erase the family entirely. Andrew's point is simple. Children come first during childbearing years. Career can come later. Pretending life has no phases is just bad faith debating. And suggesting women simply shouldn't have children? That's not empowerment. That's self-extinction. You know, the thing with most of these women who claim to be feminist, when you really dig deeper into the core of their logic, you realize they're actually against women. They just make no sense.
Right, exactly. This is my point, though, right? It's like, so why wouldn't
But women make up 47% of the labor force. Literally millions of women
Yeah.
do this every day.
Yeah, and you know what happens? Our birth rate, do you know what it's at?
It's a lot lower, significantly.
Why?
Because women are having kids older. But that's free will. You can't just usurp someone's right to have free will
do you
because
think-
their job is to have a
So
baby.
let me ask you, is it a negative thing that the birth rate is declining to the point where we can't even sustain our population?
Well, we could if we'd allow immigrants to come in. But
Wait. So you want to replace the population?
no, I'm not a replacement theorist. But at
You
the
want to
same
replace
time,
the population?
Can we go back
No.
to-
Can you answer the question? If it is the case that our population's massively decreasing, which you just conceded it is, because women are having children older, which you just conceded they are,
Sure.
and you say that's a good thing,
I'm not saying
and then
that's
say it wouldn't go down if we had immigrants come in. How's that not replacing the population?
I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I don't understand what your solution is. Should women not be allowed to work until
It's
after
your
they've had
internal
children?
critique time now. Tell me
Should
real quick.
women not be allowed to
Tell
work
me real quick
until they've had children?
Why are you asking me questions instead of answering them now? It's my turn to ask the question. So
Why is that? Who
Because
said
you
that?
just
We're having an open discussion.
you just internally critiqued, and I allowed you for over an hour at least my position, my turn. So real quick, can you
sure.
tell me why it is that when you get to the point where you cannot replace your own population, and you say, well, we wouldn't have a problem with that if we opened it up to immigrants, how is that not you advocating for replacement?
I'm not advocating for complete replacement. I'm not saying people should just stop working and stop having children and it should be entirely up to immigrants. But I mean, if we did have more channels for immigrants to come into this country legally, you know, we might
Would
not be so
that
worried about the
replace the
population.
domestic population?
What's the problem with doing that, though?
What, don't.
I mean,
would
are we
it,
not all humans?
Would it replace the domestic population?
Okay, wait a second. So instead of addressing the actual problem, population decline because women are having kids later, she wants to import people? Like, that magically solves it? No, here's the thing. Replacing the domestic population is not the same as adding more people. I'm surprised they said this girl is a good debater.
It wouldn't completely replace it.
Would it mostly replace it?
It would add. Why is it replace? It's adding. It's
Because if the
addition.
people who are... Okay, let me ask you this. Is it a good thing that Native Americans don't have a lot of kids?
Why aren't they having kids?
Well, is it a good thing that they are or are not? Would you rather see Native Americans having more kids?
I mean, I don't...
Like, why is it a bad thing
What?
that we came over here and took land from the Native Americans and replaced their population? Why is that bad?
Well, because we killed millions of people and caused
No,
significant
well,
amounts
no,
of
no.
suffering.
Actually,
it was human suffering. It was a genocide.
Actually, most
I mean,
of
what
most
do you-
hang on,
like,
most of
what do you
what
mean,
killed
why is
most
genocide
of
bad?
most of what killed Native Americans was not genocide; it was disease.
The Trail of Tears killed millions of people.
Okay, that actually no, the Trail of Tears didn't kill millions of people.
Yes, it did.
How many millions do you think died in the Trail of Tears?
Let's Google it.
Google it.
All right.
Wow. Look at the boldness of the, I don't even know what to call it, ignorance? She's talking fast, acting confident, and somehow thinks that makes it true. Millions died in the Trail of Tears. Facts don't care about your delivery, lady.
How many millions died at the Trail of Tears?
It says an estimated 4,000 out of 16,000 Cherokee people, or wait, forced to relocate. Let me see deaths.
How many millions?
It says estimate that 6,000 men, women, and children die on the 1,200-mile march called the Trail of Tears, Cherokee.
Okay.
So is 6,000 anywhere close to millions?
So let's just look at
and
colonization.
millions.
How many Native American people were killed from colonization? Can you Google that one for me?
Yeah, disease.
How
no,
many
no,
Native
no.
Amer-
How many
no,
were
no,
killed
no,
by
no.
disease?
How many Native
Millions.
Americans killed by...
Colonization. It's millions of people.
No, disease killed them. Disease killed the overwhelming amount of Native
You know that
Americans.
we used chemical warfare, or not we.
Oh, we did, huh?
Yes.
So we didn't understand anything about how diseases worked, but we were able to use diseases for chemical warfare, huh?
What do you mean we didn't understand how disease works?
When do
I
you
never said
think?
that.
When do you think we understood the disease process?
You know that smallpox blankets that were infected with smallpox,
Total
were
myth.
given and gifted to. No,
How-
it's not.
how-
No,
do you-
the fuck it's not.
Okay,
Bullshit,
let me ask you a
Andrew. That's
question.
not a myth.
She really doesn't know when to stop, does she? Bold, fast, confident, and still wrong. Let's get real. The smallpox blankets thing? Myth. Disease killed 80 to 90% of Native Americans in some regions, not some evil blanket scheme. And the Trail of Tears? About 4,000 deaths, not millions. Confidence doesn't rewrite history, by the way.
You get sick
Yeah.
and you don't understand how the disease process works because science hasn't discovered it yet. And then you hand a blanket that sick people have used to another person, not
Will
understanding
you fact check that one too, Brian?
Check it.
Yes.
Which one?
Okay,
Smallpox-
wait. First of all, how many millions were
Check
killed due
the
to
smallpox
colonization?
myth.
Get that one first.
In the United States, in North
the
America,
US.
or the
In North
entire
America.
Americas?
Ooh, actually,
including-
if we did it,
You're just goalpost shifting.
I mean, but that's not true. I said that millions
You
of people
said
were
millions
killed
of
through
people
colonization.
died during the Trail of Tears.
Okay.
Stop lying.
All right, then let's include all
Holy
of
shit, stop lying. And also, check. All you have
But
to
the
do
whole
is
point
check
that
the
you
disease.
said is that Native Americans
all you
were
have to
killed.
do is check the disease rates. It was 80 to 90% of all natives died from diseases. And by the way, the
question that
smallpox
you were
blankets,
asking-
the smallpox blankets happened hundreds of
Andrew,
years after
calm down.
colonization.
Calm down. The question
The
that you were
smallpox
asking.
blankets happened hundreds of years post-colonization.
The question
hundreds.
that you were asking, let's fact check that. But while you're doing that, the question that you were asking is, was the colonization of the Americas bad? And I'm saying, yes, it was, because it resulted in the deaths of millions of people.
Got it. So if the outcome, and that would be a negative outcome, right?
Yes.
So
oh
if
my
Jap-
God, why is my
if
dad family
Japan
calling me?
if Japan wants to keep itself Japanese, is that negative?
For what purpose?
Because they just want to be Japanese
How are they doing that?
by not letting in any immigrants.
Are immigrants coming to their country and are they detaining them in cages? and
Very,
sending them out?
very few are ever allowed to come in. Yes, very few.
I mean, if they're not physically hurting or endangering those people, then I wouldn't say that's necessarily a negative. But I think it depends on the outcome for the Japanese population.
So
as
if
well.
the Japanese, let's just say that they only wanted their domestic population to be Japanese, there's nothing inherently wrong with that.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Can I answer the question? If there's a net negative that happens when the Japanese population self-isolates, then I do think that there's something inherently wrong with that. But I think it's hard to quantify how negative that is to that population.
So, like, if the Japanese were isolating themselves and their
Yes.
birth rate was decreasing, you
Yes.
would consider that to be negative.
Yes, if they were losing population, if they were losing a labor force because of self-isolation, if people were starving and people could not make enough money because of
Well, they
self-isolation.
weren't just they're not starving,
Well,
but
I
they're
guess,
just
yeah.
not reproducing.
If people aren't reproducing and they're incapable of reproduction or,
They're capable of it, they're just not.
yeah, I mean, if it is hurting that population, then I would say that's a net negative.
Okay,
for
so
sure.
then if white people aren't reproducing, is that hurting their population?
It depends. Do they want to reproduce?
It's seemingly the like primary edict is reproduction, right?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so then if white people are not reproducing, that's harmful to white people's population.
Well, if the primary edict is reproduction, then why aren't they reproducing?
Well, because they defer what's happened is there has been a massive campaign to defer all women's childbearing years for college years. This is in every industrial country we look at.
So what are you...
So she's ignoring this entirely. Andrew's literally pointing out that in every industrialized country, women are deferring childbearing for college and career. That's not oppression, that's a policy and social trend with real consequences. And she still wants to talk about free will like it cancels population decline? Yeah, okay.
structurally
I'm
advocating
asking
for
you
it?
this question. I'm asking you, is it inherently bad that white people aren't reproducing?
No, if they have...
So is it inherently bad, like you just said, that the Japanese people aren't reproducing?
I guess no. If they're
So then
exercising
why-
their free will. But
What
this
the
is the point.
fuck? How is it
Andrew.
bad if the Japanese don't reproduce, but it's bad if they don't, but it's not bad if white people don't?
No, I'm not saying it's bad if either group does.
But
What
you
I'm
just
saying
did.
is it depends on the effects to that population and why they're not reproducing. If they're not reproducing as an exercise of free will,
Gotcha.
and they are happier without reproducing, then why is that negative?
So if we were to look at like the mental health outcomes of women who reproduced versus those who didn't, which group would you say would be happier?
I'm not sure. Which group do you say would be happier?
Well,
Statistically, which group is happier?
what the group that's statistically happier are women who reproduce and have children.
Okay, but again, that's the whole causation correlation thing, and it feels like
The thing is like everything you can say is a causation, right? We look for the primary causation for what is the correlation. We even do this with things like drinking and driving, right? So
Yeah.
I could always say, no, it just correlates that drinking in your car leads to more accidents, right? But if it is the case that that's the primary correlate, then we tend to say it's because drinking and driving, these accidents increase.
Okay.
That's how you would do it. Hang
All
on.
right, so
if
let's
that's the
say-
case, I'm just asking you again the question, right? When you say, oh, it's just correlation causation. If the primary correlation is that they're having children and that's what makes them happier, and that women who don't have children are less happy, then wouldn't you say that's a negative outcome?
yes, I would say that's a negative.
Okay.
But I do just want to ask, so let's say that that is a negative outcome. What is your solution? Do you think women should not be allowed to go to college? Do you think women should?
I would just advocate for a national campaign which asks women to keep the traditional family intact because it's going to lead to the most amount of children, and to defer those college age years, just like we did a national campaign to try to move women into college. I would do a national campaign to say defer those years for childbearing, and you can always go to college later after your kids are grown, or you can do it from
Oh,
home.
that's not fun. That's not the point of college. Did you go to college?
The point of college is to go,
No.
what's the point?
The point of college is to learn while you are young so that you can gain skills that help you in the workforce and develop a career over time. It takes time to develop a career. You can't
You can
just do that
develop.
whenever.
You can develop First of all, most of the people are getting degrees. By the way, they ain't using those fucking degrees in any of those fields, are they? What's your degree going to be in? What's it going to be in?
Fucking your mom. No, I'm joking. Film production.
And do you think that you're going to end up a film producer?
Hopefully, that's the goal.
But I mean, do you think that the chances that most people who have a degree in film production are producing film?
I mean, I happen to go to the best film school in the country, but you know,
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure
just
a lot
like
of
I
people
just
aren't.
had a woman I
But-
talked to yesterday who got a degree in comedy writing.
Oh well, sorry.
All right, that's a wrap on this one. Andrew Wilson laid out the facts, reality, and common sense, while, well, you saw how fast-talking and confidence don't magically make nonsense true. And let's be real, some of her lines were not just wrong, they were outright disrespectful. Seriously, effing your mom? That's not debate, that's just nonsense and immaturity. If nothing else, this debate is a reminder. Bold claims don't replace logic. Facts still matter. And respect matters too. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more reactions.